Okay, we're live. It is 6:30. It's Thursday, August 14th, 2025. This is a meeting of the Wabash City Plan Commission. John Burnsworth, Plan Commission President. Roll call, please.
Bill Larrows.
Here.
Scott Crainer's absent. John Burnsworth.
Here.
Justin Adams.
Here.
Jason Sless and Chad Maple are both absent. Adam Stegman.
Here.
Heather Allen Hoover. Here.
Okay. I'll open the meeting. First order of business, old business, is minutes from the July 16th, 2025 meeting. Everyone had a chance to review those minutes? So I entertain a motion.
Yes, sir. So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of passing the minutes, aye?
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Under new business, we have Gebhardt Properties LLC for 1965 South Wabash Street, Wabash. Request of the Wabash City Plan Commission to petition the zoning ordinance amendment in the city of Wabash, Indiana, to change from general business to heavy industry. The above 3.452 acres will be used for public metal recycling and uniform use with the zoning to the adjacent parcel. That's also Gebhardt Properties LLC. We have.
Thank you, Josh Petronio, downstanding Petronio on behalf of Gebhardt Properties. I've also got Mike Huff, who is Chief Compliance Officer. Is that right? With me in case we have any.
Check see if that microphone's on.
In case we have any more.
That's one you have to hold above your face.
Got a green light now.
Okay.
That works.
Does it need to be closed?
Yes. Unfortunately.
Almost.
Night at the Improv.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man,
Before we
on a cruise.
go any further, I just want to point out that this is a 9-member body. We only have 5 members here. By state law, nothing will be approved if it doesn't get all 5 votes, because you have to get a majority of the entire commission, whether they're here or not. So even if you had a vote 4-1, then the petition would not be approved at this point. Now, it also wouldn't be disapproved because you don't have 5 votes denying the petition, so you could refile, but you'd have to start all over again. So the question is, do you want to go forward yet tonight, or do you want to continue this? If you decide to continue it, it would be continued to our next meeting, which is September the 3rd, and you would not have to re-advertise or send out new notices, because anybody who would have been interested could have been here tonight to find out whether it was going to be continued.
We will proceed. Final answer.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think too, part of that goes into the fact that all we're asking of the Plan Commission is either kind of a yes, we approve, or we're giving this a favorable recommendation to the City Council, or no, we're not, because ultimately we're still going to go to the City Council with that. And I don't want to have to bore them to death with those details if we can avoid it. So as Mr. Burnsworth pointed out, kind of from our application, I think the key thing to discuss is that we're really looking to make this a uniform use with the adjacent parcel. As Mike and I were talking, and I think everybody has a map of what we're talking about. To the east there is kind of the main metal source operation, which is zone heavy industry. And, along with some competition, those are kind of the main proverbial 800-pound gorillas, if you will, in the area as far as the zoning goes. And so what we are looking to do, we're looking to accomplish, I think it's helpful to explain kind of there's really two main lines of business going on at Metal Source, and I'm talking still about not this parcel, but the main parcel. There is kind of the bread and butter of Metal Source, which is the commercial recycling of aluminum rims, car rims that are coming in at that entrance north of this parcel. But there's also kind of the retail or peddler scrap where, just typical customers off the street are bringing in scrap metal. Right now, they both come and go through that same drive on the north. So one benefit we think that would have this is we'll move the peddler or retail scrap to where Steel Supply is right now. And that'll keep, Joe and his truck of scrap metal from possibly getting hit by an 18-wheeler filled with car rims. So we think that's really a good potential downstream benefit of this. But then it'll all put that retail process right where Steel Supply is. And in talking with the building department, I know we had some discussion of, well, maybe you could already do this the way that it is, with what's allowed for stacking. But then it kind of gets into an issue of, well, with the zoning code, what is metal recycling? And as you can see, it is both these things. So we thought it would probably just be better to go ahead and seek the amendment so we can get both of these parcels zoned heavy industry. In the future, maybe combine those parcels, but no plans for that. I have been granted the authority to kind of share that one potential downstream benefit of changing this would be to kind of work towards getting all of Metal Source's operations at this site, or what's currently heavy industry. And so what we're ultimately talking about is possibly kind of decommissioning Mill Street and bringing the activities from Mill Street, where it's close to me as a neighbor, and I get some noise from it time to time. So there's no timeline for that, no guarantee it happens, but if we get this zoning amendment changed, it makes it much more likely to be able to do that, consolidate all of Metal Source's operations right there on kind of the larger dominant track. So that's just kind of the general overall. I gave everybody, hopefully you got it, kind of our position statement. And in that one, I kind of run through each of the statutory requirements, and just in order to make a record, I'll kind of just try and run through that really quickly. We've got to touch on how does this comply with the comprehensive plan. You can see we've adopted the Imagine 185 comprehensive plan with some of the language there about encouraging reuse and rehabilitation of existing industrial structures. So we think that it'll further those goals by allowing an existing business to streamline its operations and use the same, approximate footprint to the heavy industry zone. Do the current conditions and character of the current structures and uses, current conditions and the character of current structures and uses in each district. And what's key here is we're right next to a heavy industry zoned parcel. And as you kind of expand out from there, you've got even more. So this changing the Steel Supply parcel, I don't think in any way is really going to change the overall nature of that area. The most desirable use for which land in each district is adapted, kind of the same point there. We're adjacent to something that's already zoned for heavy industry. Conservation of property values throughout the jurisdiction. I mean, essentially the easiest way to say this is if they were going down because of Metal Source, they would already be down. This is not going to make any severe impact on that. Responsible development and growth. That kind of gets into what I've explained with the changing of the operations and some of the believed safety issues that we could help by doing that. I also wanted to grab these pictures. Ben reminded me to kind of share these. These pictures are of the Steel Supply lot from when Gebhardt purchased it in September of 2018. And I don't know if anybody's taken a look at it or what it looks like right now. Sorry if I'm dropping the mic. And if you look at these pictures and you think about what it looks like now, I think you know what the point that we're going to make is that Gebhardt Properties does a really good job of taking care of its properties. And then Mike can speak on kind of his background, his role, and in our discussions, kind of what he's described to me is that his job has been to take Metal Source and many of the Gebhardt operations and take them from kind of your classic grimy metal recycling place and turn them into something that's really stands out in the industry. And that's really Mike's role. And so I think that anybody on this planning commission should feel confident that the parcel is, while it's going into heavy industry, it's not going to look like maybe the scary heavy industrial site that we think of when we think of heavy industry. And I think with that, I think I'll kind of turn over our time to answer any specific questions that anybody might have. Obviously, we've got someone from a neighbor as well.
I was just going to ask.
Well, I need you to come up
Oh,
and
sorry.
say your name and,
I'm Clay Preston from Keystone Cooperative, next door to the property there. And our office building is for sale currently, so our realtor and corporate attorney wanted me to come and ask a couple questions. Mainly just, do you expect any added fumes or smells or noises or anything like that? Anything different compared to what you have going now?
Fumes and smells, certainly not. Noises, I don't think that we'd be confident to say yes, no, this decibel level, but really what's going to take place at this site is that's where retail people are going to come in, have their scrap weighed and ultimately sorted. Nothing of that type gets melted or recycled on site, either this site or the one adjacent to it. That all gets moved on a truck to 75% of it goes elsewhere, and then aluminum is processed in Huntington. And Mike will maybe add some detail.
Yeah, I can answer a little bit to that. The primary focus of our plant one is to melt rims. None of that process will be moved to the new the Wabash Steel Supply site at all. It will all still remain the same. What could possibly happen with this move is we would like to move our peddler or our buy room where the public can come in over to the Steel Supply site, which actually would be in the building to the south, which currently is our warehouse for Steel Supply. And then at that point, then we eliminate, we've had multiple near misses with semi trucks and the public and the vehicles coming in. Noise wise, we've done a lot. I've not had any complaints for quite a while. I've been here about 4 years now, and we are doing things to work with the neighbors. For example, we're only open till 5, the scrapyard part. The plant's 24/7, but we do close the west doors at 6 o'clock, 7-ish at the latest. That way there's no noise from the wheels being scooped or processed overnight. We do have what we call an inside wheel pit. So any wheels that we would receive during the day, those are all moved to the inside to be handled for the night shift. That way there's no processing of any type of metal on the outside. So noise wise, that should not be an issue. So
That's all?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
And I know too, we had talked about like the stacking and sorting of scrap in that area. And as when you hear it and you think about it, it makes sense. That's all going to be secured. It's not going to be just in stacks and piles, because one of the problems in the name of the game in metal recycling is you want to secure that so that you don't buy it twice, if you will. So it's not going to be easily accessible and probably not noticeable. So, any other questions? Yes.
Will the steel supply buildings remain the same aesthetically on the outside? Will those look the same?
Like the one to the north almost certainly will. The one to the south it will probably be, I mean, overall, yes, but it'll probably need some additions and some things like that. So, but aesthetically, overall, yes, very, very much the same. Is that accurate?
Yeah. The storefront will stay the same. The warehouse on the side, two of our other scrap yards, we have drive-through buildings. So when the public comes in, if it's bad weather, it's rain, it's snow, it's super cold, they can unload on the inside. So there could be a potential drive-through through that to keep them out of the weather and that. But other than that, there won't be stuff stored outside. We don't do that currently at our other locations. The buy room that's currently at Plant One, all that material that the public brings in, we put into Gaylords, and it's all stored inside that facility, so it's not an eyesore to the public.
And part two of my question, anything else on South Wabash Street before you get to the bottom of the cut? Is there anything else zoned heavy industry, to your knowledge, on the front? I know in the back,
Oh.
you're heavy industry, but anything on the front?
I don't know that question, other than I know the Metal X, some of Metal X does, abut the road there. But I didn't spend a lot of time looking at the greater map. I would imagine some of it has to.
I'm guessing that's a dumb question.
But nothing else in here.
Just so everybody's on the same page, I looked into that. I had the same question. It looks like Justin did as well. Nothing else, once you get past there, is considered heavy or zone heavy industrial. Actually, going to the south.
To the south.
So you would be now the furthest south along Wabash Street and State Road 15. Have you looked in to see what other zoning properties are along there? What they're currently zoned at? Are there any residential homes in that section between your proposed change?
Yeah, there's an adjacent neighbor to the current site, Mr. Bear, that's been a long time neighbor for many, many years, and Gebhardt and Mr. Bear have a good relationship. The back of his property to the east is adjacent to the current heavy industry zone. So I think that's the only real residential property right along there.
And you've been in contact with him?
Yes. And
Currently?
yes, currently it's in, it's.
Okay. He knows what's coming.
Yeah, I think, did they update you on that conversation? I got the impression that it's a really good, really good relationship, and he's, A-okay with continuing the operations. But
Yeah, it's any noise complaints, odors, smells, anything like that's gonna come to me. And as long as I've been here, we've never had a complaint from him whatsoever with our current facility. So there's even a daycare building that's right there in front of us, and there's no issues with them as well. So.
Do you have any plans for buffers from the street to the new?
really just the current buildings.
Okay.
I don't think anything additional or specific.
Hey, Josh, I can just to kind of answer that question. When I first came to Gebhardt, one of the first things I did is I spent multiple days and evenings sitting out there on the west side of 15 there, taking noise level readings and making sure that we're not exceeding those because of the noise ordinance. And we literally get more noise from the semis and the motorcycles and that going up and down 15 than what's coming from our facility. So we are doing all that we can to make sure that the noise levels are low, below the limits. And then again, making all those measures so we're not processing any type of material outside after, especially in the scrapyard, because it closes at 5 anyway. So There's no noise going to come from that whatsoever. And then with the closing of the doors on the west side of the plant, that really eliminates a lot of the clanging per se, if you want to call it that, from the wheel revs. So.
Yeah, I think one of the key takeaways is that all of the noisemakers, as it were, are staying in place right where they are. So we don't really anticipate this adding significant amount of noise to this particular parcel.
Any other questions? I have two quick comments. Years ago, I drove semi for one of our scrap dealers here in town. And I've been to a lot of yards in North Indiana, Chicago, and had the opportunity to take some siding to your plant for an organization I belong to. And it's the cleanest scrapyard I've ever been in my life. I see they take very good care of their property. And also, for a short time, I drove a, excuse me, truck and hauled wheels to Huntington Aluminum for the prior owner. And about 6 months ago, I was by that plant and I could not believe the difference. Wow. So I understand you take very good care of your neighbors and their concerns and dust, and I'm very impressed.
Thank you. I think one of the reasons that I was hired on with Gebhardt, I've spent the last 30 plus years in safety, early career in law enforcement, and then got into safety. And one of the things that I brought in, the company I worked for before was a tier 1 supplier in the automotive industry. So what we call 5S was very huge in that automotive industry. And if you've ever had the chance to be in an automotive plant, they are extremely clean. And when Ben or Mr. Gebhardt knew that I had that in my background, he asked if we could do that in a foundry. And I go, yes, I think we can. Can it be to the automotive level? We can get close, but just the nature of the business, our foundries are dirty, right? So the last 4 years, we've instituted 5S at every one of our facilities. And you mentioned the Huntington Aluminum plant. I actually was sent over there before we purchased it. And I'll agree with you that I came back and I told Mr. Gebhardt, don't buy it. And I said, it's going to cost you a lot of money. It's probably one of the worst facilities I've ever seen. But he bought it anyway, and you've seen it.
That's for sure.
That's probably one of our show plants where we're very proud to take people through. And we get so many comments from the public, from our customers. We're really starting to get heavy into the automotive industry, making aluminum sows and ingots for, that they've been there and they can't believe how nice our facilities not only look on the outside, but also on the inside. And I know the plant over in, that's to the south of our plant in Huntington, they actually put in a $100,000 berm between their facility and what was Huntington Aluminum. And about a year later, once he saw what all we were doing, he came and we talked to him, and he said, I wish I'd have known that. You'd have saved me a lot of money. So we do take very serious about what our facilities look like, not only on the outside, but the inside as well. So thank you.
Anything else?
I would like to say that I completely agree that you've changed the look of that facility and the other facilities as well. There's a Decatur, I think you've got one down there that I visit on occasion. My concern is more for not what your intended use is, but in the future, if we open this up to heavy industrial, what that could mean. We don't know how long Mr. Gebhardt will own the property. But if we open it up to heavy industrial, I know that you guys are going to take care of that on that street front, but what could that mean in the future? That's my biggest concern.
If I can, yeah, and I know you said we have no intention of going anywhere.
Yeah.
But I would imagine that anything that's going on there is going to have a very close relationship to some very fixed assets at the current heavy industry there. So I don't see any end in sight to this. I don't see the parcel being split off and sold to anyone else. It's going to have the same life as Metal Source. And so while that is a concern and it's not unreasonable, I think that it should be a very, very small concern given the fact that we're going to have we're going to have quite a bit of heavy industry in that area for the foreseeable future, whether it's Metal X, whether it's Metal Source, or anything else.
I did see that Gebhardt Properties owns the property to the north of the steel building. Okay.
Yes.
Anything else? I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept this as presented. Sorry, I'm dealing with a cold.
We're asking for a favorable.
Yes,
favorable
basically what you
recommendation
wanna
to the
do-
city council.
You want to move to recommend to the city council changing the zone map from general business to heavy industrial for this parcel.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Bill Barnes,
Aye.
John Burnsworth,
Aye.
Justin Adams.
Aye.
Adam Stakeman.
Aye.
And Heather Ellen Hoover.
Aye.
So I assume you'll get on the agenda for the council coming up.
Yes, we
My-
are, and we publish notice together concurrently.
My recommendation would be to have you prepare a resolution to be signed and a secretary certificate and a proposed ordinance. If you want something as a template, I can probably get something to
I
you.
think we've exchanged this before, yeah. I'll find it. All right.
Okay,
Enjoy your solar discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
I won't do anything unless you ask for it.
Okay, next item on the agenda is solar discussion continued, supplemental regulations involving energy systems. So as you alluded to earlier, what are your thoughts on, since we're such
We
a,
should drag this out, especially after what Adam and I talked about, but not, the four of us not here, doesn't make sense.
thoughts?
I mean, are we just gonna repeat the same thing next month,
That's-
everyone else?
That's what I'm thinking, because we'd have to catch everybody up.
I mean, you can send them out, but is it gonna get read? I mean, that's. Your thought?
Will we repeat the same thing again? I mean, are we going over the red highlighted
Okay.
tonight, Doug? I mean,
I
that's only up-
basically, we went over the supplemental stuff pretty thoroughly, I thought, the last time. And I think what was really planned for tonight was to approve a final version. There were a couple of changes that Jeff had suggested And that's what's incorporated into what you have before you. I think it's possible that you could probably go ahead and approve the final, and I say final draft version of the supplemental regulation. I was hoping we could get to talking about permitted uses tonight. That I think we probably ought to hold off because, yes, I think there would be a bunch of repeating and bringing people up to speed. But I do think that in terms of what's read on this document, you could probably go ahead and decide whether you're okay with it. And we would put this section to bed for now.
You're talking about the
Supplemental regulations
Right.
involving all energy systems.
red text.
Yes. Now, let me also tell you that I did go through and made a couple of minor changes in terms of what the final draft would look like. And so, for instance, the final draft would do away with the suggested amendments draft language that's in red at the top of page 1. And it would change paragraph B to not be in red anymore. And it would eliminate paragraph 3 of paragraph B on page 2. And that would, I think, be it if you approved these changes. And like I say, that would then, in my opinion, put this to bed until we put the whole ordinance together and open it up for public discussion and whatever changes we would make then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I wanted to bring up was that I had suggested that they just do a, I'm backtracking a little here, that they give a monthly, quarterly, and annual report to us just in the first year. I don't think that was specified. Just so they kind of proved that they knew what they were doing. It didn't say that. Yeah, it was just the first year, just so they proved that they were trustworthy. So I wanted to make sure that was somewhere specified, I think we all had agreed on that, so. But back to what you're saying on the, yeah. So back to B on the second page, so, yeah, sorry.
How does that
Okay.
get tested? Who does that? How do they? I mean, how can you, do we know?
There's no language that's already state codes. So,
So if you're required and it can't be done, what do you do?
Yeah,
Do you just say?
and what do we have to compare it to, or, what standard is there to compare it to if they do send it in?
Yeah, I mean, is it gonna cost them like 10 grand to have it checked every time? Is it? So I mean, I don't.
That's why we were gonna require them to give us a report for the first year, so they prove to us that they're trustworthy and,
Wasn't that report going to Jeff?
yeah.
Okay.
Then we can kind of just say, okay, we trust you after that, and we're kind of gonna let you go for however long we can let them go. It's a learning curve for all of us, I think.
Right, but who does the report?
don't know if it'd have to be a third party report or that's what I don't know. So it might be something they would.
What is it you want reported? If they're operational, they're operational.
It'd be because we're already not doing like a commercial solar field, so this would be like, we always use the reference of Fort Meter Box. So let's say Fort Meter Box puts it in, I mean, I think they're the ones who would be mad if it's not working and take it back to them. So maybe if they require, that might be something they build into their contract. I don't know if it has anything to do with the city building department.
I just think it'd be hard to require someone to do something we don't know if it can even be done. That's my opinion. I get what you're saying, but if it's not gonna be feasible for them.
I mean, they could send me a report. Doesn't mean I know what it means.
The only thing that I can compare this to is that when Tip Valley that's got the big windmill, now it's different. It's part of the school corporation, so I think there's some reporting that is done because on a financial basis to the taxpayers. But they still, to this day, report how many kilowatt hours that generates. And you can go on their website and you can see all that. That's about the only thing I could think of, like to just say.
But like you said, that's a municipal
Yeah,
project
absolutely.
where this would all be private industry.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's, how else are you gonna prove that it's working? It is.
Because,
There's,
but to me, if it's not working, that's
That's
the
on them.
company's problem, not.
If they invest the money, yeah,
I agree.
$500,000 and it doesn't work, then that's
That's a contractual issue between the two of them. That's
No, that's true, that's right.
So,
If it's as simple as that, then it becomes contractual between the seller and the buyer.
so
Okay,
what do you want? Is everything okay as is then? Is that?
we could do more research and maybe add it next time. I mean, see if it can be done.
because we got that kind of.
That would be something that we could keep an open mind about when we get to the public discussion and actually go to consider the ordinance as a whole.
I'm okay with the changes that have been made.
So does somebody want to make a motion to approve this as a final draft?
I will make the motion to approve it as a final draft.
Second?
Any more discussion? Motion on the floor in a second. Roll call, please.
Bill Burrows,
Aye.
John Burnsworth.
Aye.
Justin Adams.
Aye.
Adam Stegman.
Aye.
Heather Ellen Hoover.
Okay. Then we have the permitted uses section is the next section. I have gone through and made some additional changes to what you have here, which I will probably get to Karen sometime in the next week or so, and she can send those out to everybody.
Is that over and above what we have in red?
Yes.
Okay.
So that we can work on this one then next at the next meeting. I think if we spent any time working on it at this meeting, we would probably have to redo some of it when the rest of the members were here. You know, if we're short one or two, I would say let's go ahead, but since we're short almost half I think we ought to consider not discussing this any further till September.
I agree with that.
Okay.
And I'll get my additional changes. I can tell you real quickly what some of those are. Well, now, wait a minute. I better wait and get my, let me see here. I may be getting ahead of myself here. Because I think most of the changes, I did some changes today, but I think most of them were with regard to the next section after this, which is special exceptions. So I better just keep quiet.
Adam, I will tell you this, your last comment on the Pinhead thing, my wife owns a business just right there. She had the same concern from the standpoint of down the road, but she said, I don't stop it, you don't know. So I said, well, you can come to the meeting. She goes, no, I'm okay. I almost said something,
Well, I mean, trust what they say.
yeah,
That new spot right there where
I know Mike.
you know,
I know
they,
Mike really well, and he's got a really, really good reputation in that genre with two other companies that he worked for before he got hurt.
Okay, do we have anything else to come before the board? We're adjourned.
Well, you're not even gonna use the mallet?